He took to Twitter on Thursday to say thanks for giving him some added motivation, tweeting this: "Thank you, as if I needed more gas. Hashtag washed. Hashtag frown emoji." Max, tell me this. What does LeBron have to do to silence the haters?
Beat the Nets. How's that? Try that. Beat the Nets. Beat KD and the Nets. That'll silence the haters. By the way, he'll be the underdog to do it, no doubt. Think about if you switch teams, though. Let's say LeBron's teammates were Harden and Kyrie, and KD's were Westbrook, or reuniting, let's just say, with Westbrook and AD. Imagine if you would have given Westbrook and KD, once they reached their peaks, AD on that team. Ooh. You think about it a little differently. You think the Lakers' chances, at least I do, got a little better because of the way KD shoots the ball. Now the shooting problem goes away a little bit. Yeah, LeBron would be the underdog against the Nets. I expect the Nets at full strength to be unmatched. But he's not without chances, LeBron. Westbrook is a great player. With warts and all, he's a great player. AD is a great player. And LeBron, last I recall, was considered by many the MVP last year until he started slowing down due to injury. By many, the MVP last year. This would not be the first time Stephen A. LeBron James has done something like this. In 16, he beat the 73-win Warriors team, a team in Game 7 where LeBron James won Finals MVP, a team that Kevin Durant's OKC Thunder took to a Game 7 at Oracle and failed to beat. He beat the 73-win team on the road that KD couldn't beat. And he beat Steph Curry and everyone, and he was the undisputed king of basketball. You want to be that again? Because I get where LeBron's coming from. It's one thing if there's a unanimous selection of someone else. Then LeBron has a little less to complain about. But if votes are going to two different guys and he gets none, I see why he's upset, because he's certainly in the mix with KD and Giannis. Certainly in the mix. In fact, when I brought that up, I remember you and I think it was Perk getting on me for including Giannis in that mix. But I felt after that finals performance, Giannis has to be in the mix with KD and LeBron. So I get where LeBron is coming from. You want to silence the haters? Beat Brooklyn. That'll silence the haters.
Let me say this to you, Max Kellerman. First of all, I can respect the fact that LeBron James is insulted. He's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball, make no mistake about it. One of the top two or three greatest players of all time, him, MJ, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I don't think anybody will question that at this point in his career. It's plain and simple. He's on the Mount Rushmore. Having said all of that, I can understand LeBron James being insulted about the Greek Freak, comparisons to the Greek Freak. He has no business being insulted about Kevin Durant. Could y'all, let me be very, very clear. Let me look into the camera and say this stuff. Kevin Durant is the best player in the world. Period. There is no NBA player, including LeBron James, at this point in time, that is a better player than Kevin Durant in the world. Nobody. Now let me say this. If you're LeBron, I can understand why you're going to be upset about the Greek Freak. Because, see, I'm looking at LeBron James' numbers here. 26, 27, 27, 25, 25 over the last 4 or 5 years, okay? And we see what he shoots from the field. And even though he's a different player than the Greek Freak, he's a creator. Even though we saw Greek Freak passing the ball exceptionally well in the finals against Phoenix, he deserves a lot of credit for that. And we saw the monster game he had in the closeout game, particularly hitting 17 to 19 free throws, which we never thought we'd see from him in our lifetime, okay? We get all of that. But in the end, when you look at LeBron James the playmaker, LeBron James the facilitator, LeBron James the basketball savant that exploits mismatches like it's going out of style, LeBron James the greatest passer in the game as far as I'm concerned. When you look at all the elements of his game and what he brings to the table, there is simply no denying how special LeBron James is, the kind of effect and impact he has on the game of basketball. And there's no way on earth that two players should definitively be rated ahead of him to the point where he receives no votes from the executives and scouts. No votes. There's no excuse for that, okay?
Stephen A., this is where I'm confused, though. LeBron has the same numbers, if not better, than Kevin Durant last season. I'm looking at him right now.
Well, I'm not looking at just numbers.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at just numbers because you see, if I was looking at just numbers, Molly, I could sit up there and go to the free throw line as well because I keep bringing that up because that matters and people ignore the fact. See, when you can't hit free throws, Molly, and LeBron James over the last 3 years, let me make sure I have this right on point here. LeBron James over the last 3 seasons, 66.5%, 69.3%, 69.8%. He hasn't hit 70% of his free throws the last 3 years and 4 of the last 5 years. Why does that matter? Because what happens is if I have questions about you from the free throw line, number one, I can lay off you and dare you to hit perimeter shots. Number two, when you get to the basket, I can simply foul you and send you to the free throw line as opposed to letting you convert shots at the basket. Number three, and more importantly, because of that, as the game wanes and crunch times arrive, you are an impediment to the team's success in a lot of situations when going up against elite competition if they're shot makers. That's why Max Kellerman and myself have the Brooklyn Nets as favorites. Why do we have them as favorites, Molly? Why do we have them as favorites, Max? We know they ain't elite defensively. We know that they are below average at best. We were making news about the Nets being ranked 25th as a defensive team and saying that's good enough because they are unstoppable.
Yeah, they score
offensively. Unstoppable. They're shot makers. And so when you compare LeBron and some of his recent struggles, particularly from the free throw line, in that regard, and obviously as a perimeter shooter overall, and you compare that to the marksmanship and the sniper-like capability of Kevin Durant, what would you rather have? I'd rather have Kevin Durant.
I would say it's very close. I'd say it's undetermined right now, but you're entitled to your opinion, as everyone is. I think LeBron is surprised that no one's opinion is that it's him, because Molly's right about the numbers. And in terms of the free throws, LeBron's not a bit like if he hits about 70% of his free throws. It should be higher. It should be better. That's not a disaster. Out of every 10 trips to the line, or every 5 trips to the line, if it's not an and one, right? You're shooting 2 free throws, so you have 10 free throw shots, right? Out of every 10, KD will hit 2 more than LeBron. That means every 10 trips to the line, KD is worth 2 points more than LeBron. But LeBron more than makes up for that in other ways. Kevin Durant turned into an excellent passer. LeBron James is among the very greatest passers who ever lived. He elevates the play of those around him, unlike anybody else.
Of the Nets' big three, who has the most on the line?
Harden. Last time I checked, Kyrie Irving is a champion. Kevin Durant is a 2-time champion. James Harden has never won a championship. And the only time he's played in the finals is when he was a reserve. I would remind everybody that we're not only talking about being absent of a chip, we're also talking about one of the greatest offensive players the game has ever seen. In the last 5 years, before last season, James Harden clearly came into camp out of shape. He wanted out of Houston. They told him they weren't going to move him, so he didn't work out. He didn't do it on purpose because he wanted to get out of Houston that bad, and it ultimately worked because he wanted to get to Brooklyn, and that is what ended up happening. I will remind you that when you look at Harden, in the last 5 years, the previous 5 seasons, 29, 29.1, and then he was a 3-time scoring champion, 30.4 points a game, 36.1 points a game, 34.3 points a game. And in the midst of all of that, won league MVP honors one of those years and was a runner-up at least once, possibly twice. The brother is a superstar offensive player, make no mistake about it. And we know what he was capable of doing, and we had championship expectations for him, at least to some degree, when he was the man in Houston. Now, not only are you in Brooklyn, and not only are you in Brooklyn with the likes of Kevin Durant, but you're also there with Kyrie Irving. So when fully loaded, healthy, and in a full season under their belt, he is absolutely right. There is no one who can beat them. But if we discover that there is somebody, folks going to look at him.
That depends on how he plays.
That's what I mean.
James Harden, game for game last year, fat and out of shape and all. Showed up in Brooklyn, like I always say, looking a hot mess, fat and out of shape. Was the best player in the NBA game for game. Like, this dude is on another level. He's great. But in regular season, he has yet to be a crunch-time, big-time playoff performer. I'll give you that. That's not who has the most on the line. And it's not Kyrie Irving either. There's one man who so many people now, including you, are saying is better than LeBron James. It has not happened in LeBron James's career since he, became the best player in the world. What is it, 10 years now? No one until now, not no one, but the majority of people until this moment have never looked at another player. Rather than regular season, this guy gets the MVP, that guy, best player in the world, and said, that guy is better than LeBron. It's to the point now where LeBron's using it as motivation publicly. They're doing it now for Kevin Durant. Our colleague, played 10, 11 years in the league, Ryan Hollins, Stephen A, is out there. He's the best offensive player of all time. And he's not the only one saying it. Lots of people are saying it. And by the way, before the Achilles, he was a great defender, and he still takes on tough defensive assignments. He's a great passer, the whole thing. Kevin Durant has elevated himself to the point where he will be in the GOAT conversation pretty soon if he keeps this up and they win championships. But if they don't, they're going to say, KD, what do you need? You joined a 73-win team that couldn't lose. By the way, they almost lost to the Rockets. But right, and you got Finals MVPs. When you formed your own super team, like, what do you need? Harden and Kyrie, and Blake looks good again, and Harris and everybody. It's not enough? You still lost? No. No one has more on the line than the guy that people like you, Stephen A, are saying now, where's the crown? That's the guy with the most on the line. It's KD.
Max, I think that's a great argument on your part. One of your better arguments, no doubt about it. The problem is we've seen what a colossal impact a star who doesn't show up can have on the rest of the team. And if that happens to be James Harden, which I don't believe will happen, I'm picking Brooklyn to win the chip, and I think James Harden's going to show up and he's going to play lights out.
So do I.
But if by any chance that doesn't happen, he's such a big-time name himself, Max, that nobody's going to turn and look at KD. They're going to look right at him. That's what I'm saying. See, if everybody plays within themselves and somehow you don't get it done, there's no excuse. Of course, you're right about KD. But if you're James Harden, you're such a prolific name, you don't get to hide. And if you don't show up and you don't perform, you're not going to be able to hide behind KD and live in obscurity. Everybody's going to pull you out to the forefront because we've seen KD and we've seen his heroics and we've seen how electrifying he can be, okay? And he's just a hooper. And so if he continues to do what he does, which we all suspect is exactly what he will do, and somehow, some way Harden doesn't show up, then we're going to look at Harden because Harden's a big-time name. He's not going to escape us, and we're not going to be focused on KD and how KD brought this team together and he didn't get it done. If KD's averaging 40 on 50% shooting or better and better than 40% from three-point range, and he's killing it, but he's looking at his weapons and they don't show.
Well, look, if guys, whoever, like if Kyrie doesn't show up and the other two are balling out and they lose, it'll be on Kyrie. Same thing with KD. Now, you could say more likely that Harden doesn't show up given his postseason track record. I'll agree with you there. But in terms of just who has the most on the line, look, whether it's fair or not, and if KD's watching, I'm sure he's going to be like, there they go, the stupid media narrative, right? But when you don't win it, the mistakes of your past are amplified, right? And what you've done great recedes a little bit, and vice versa. The fact of the matter is, what more could KD have done? He was missing his whole crew. Don't airball the three with the series on the line in overtime of Game 7, right, against the eventual champs, right? Try that. You don't do that, and you're still playing, and maybe you do, guys get healthy, maybe you do win the title. But the fact of the matter is, not just the foot on the line for KD in Game 7, where he hit the shot, he airballed the final shot of the game, and they lost as a result. If he hits it, they win. Miss it, they lose. Didn't even hit the rim, right?
Well,
now,
you can't,
in the context of...
Just say he missed the shot. Don't focus on it like that, well, like there was some choke job. He played every minute. Steve Nash didn't give him a second's rest.
Well, let me ask you something.
And he was dropping 40 plus.
Hold up. Here's where it's different for KD than Harden or anyone else. This is my point. When you are in the stratosphere that KD is, he didn't ask for this. His own greatness brought him there. But this is what we do. I will ask you, is there any universe that you can simulate 1 billion times where Michael Jordan airballs a three in Game 7 overtime, win or go home? Any scenario. He ain't never going to do it. Maybe he misses it. He ain't never going to airball it.
Yeah,
KD is that great. He's being compared to Jordan and LeBron and the greatest who ever did it.
You got 4 championships on your resume. 3 came with the Los Angeles Lakers. Right now, they're the prohibitive favorites. Do you think, A, they deserve to be the favorites in light of what we've seen assembled in Brooklyn? And B, do you see anybody out west challenging the Lakers this season?
I think they do deserve to be the favorites because they're the champs. You have to knock off the champs. Anybody in the West, Denver, look, it's a lot of competitive teams out. Let me finish. It's a lot of competitive teams out there, but I don't think it's a team that can beat them in a 7-game series. A lot of
what
teams
about the Clippers? What about Kawhi?
Bro, we said that last year. So, until the Clippers beat them, it's just still the same old talk. And I get tired of watching you talk the same old talk. That's why that's like when you talk, I put it on mute. I love hearing Molly and Max talk because they speak real facts. Unlike you just be, I put it on mute. And then when the intelligent, smooth brother of Max Kellerman.
Okay. You know what's coming because I'm watching you on TNT. You know what's coming. I'm going to get you for that. I'm going to get you for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get you. Watch. You know I am.
Well, as usual, Shaq has a lot of very smart things to say.
Please, he's being too kind.
Shaq,
lying.
When I look out west, there are two teams that are interesting to me this year that maybe aren't getting as much press as some of the others. Dallas and Phoenix. What are your thoughts about their chances this year, Dallas and Phoenix?
They're young. They should go pretty far in the playoffs, but I don't think they have enough to beat the Lakers. The team that scares me if they're on full throttle, no mistakes, everybody's healthy. I'm always scared of Portland because I think CJ and Dame. I think they're the best backcourt in basketball right now. Those two, especially when they go going and they're shooting at a high rate. Clippers also scare me, but look, I need everybody to play at a high level. I want to see that Indiana Pacers Paul George, the aggressive Paul George, going through the hole, dunking, stepping out, shooting threes. I don't like seeing Paul when he goes up and down. I want to see the Indiana Pacers Paul. And Paul's been playing great, so I'm not going to jump on my guy Paul. But, if Paul could play at a high level with Kawhi playing at a high level, then yes, they can challenge the Lakers.
Shaq, talk to me about Novex Biotech. What's the deal?
Well, I wanted to be sexy like your husband. So, I was feeling lethargic. I tried everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, your husband is beautiful. He's sexy. I know he has a six-pack. I said, you know what? I'm looking like Charles Barkley now. My belly is hanging over my belt line. So when I tried Novex GF9, I got more active. I was sleeping through the night, and I have energy. And yes, Stephen A. Smith, I have a six-pack. I'll send you a text right now. Stephen A. Smith.
I'll deal with you later.
I'm
not going to even say what I want to say. I'm not going to even say what I want to say. You know damn well you don't have no six-pack.
See? Okay. Here's my phone.
Oh, Lord.
You haven't tried Novex Biotech, Stephen A.
Unless he lost about 30 pounds in 2 days.
I did.
When Shaq started taking Novex Biotech, he was 6'1".
Oh, God.
I got it.
Stephen A. Smith.
I got it.
Check your phone.
He did send it too. He said something too.
Yeah, check your phone.
I don't even want to see it.
It's just ridiculous.
All right, President of the Big Man Alliance. Oh, my
What did he send you?
goodness.
Let's see it.
No, I ain't showing it.
Show it.
Why you gonna
show it.
What?
Go ahead, show it. Yeah.
Y'all can't see this. No.
Oh, is that a bathroom selfie?
He's sitting there with a
Yes,
six. He's trying to say it's a six-pack. He's trying to say it's a six-pack. He just sent it to me.
That's not him. Get out of here.
What you mean? That's Molly. That's me. I'm telling you right now.
He took this a year ago. He took this a year or two ago.
When did you take that? When you were in the finals?
He saved it in his library and stuff. He just sent it to me. I ain't buying that.
I'm telling you,
what I saw.
Shaq, I want to see the date on that photo. That was in the archive.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
No.
All right, Shaq, I'm told you got to go. Always a good time. I knew you'd bring me a smile and a laugh. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Lose some damn weight.
Oh, my God.
Shaq, he could do what he wants.
You see the picture? It's 2
years old. It's 2 years old.
Look at it.
It's 2 years old.
December 15th,
Look at that background, please.
Shaq, you got to.
Kyrie shot 28 times. James Harden shot 14 times. To me, that's a big deal. Okay? I still expect them to come out of the East. I think if they come out of the East, Shaq, that's good enough. You're saying finals or championship or bust. I say finals or bust. Why should it be championship or bust?
You got to win. No. You listen. KD knows what it takes to win championships. So does Kyrie. James hasn't been there yet. It's time for him to get a championship. All that going to the front. No. He's not a young player. This ain't his first or second year. Championship or bust. And let me tell you why. So I guess James has a little problem with what I said. The first time we met, I had a problem with what you said, right? I talked to you like a man. And you know what you said to me, Stephen? You said, Shaq, you're a great player, but you haven't stepped up yet. Remember that? Remember you told me that? I cornered you. We got into a little argument. And look, you said, Shaq, I love you. You're the most dominant big guy in the world, but you keep getting swept. You keep getting swept. You haven't stepped up yet. So he ain't stepped up yet. All that talk about, we should be uplifting brothers and all that. I uplift my brothers by telling them the truth. I'm not a yes man, okay? You ain't show up yet. So you got to win the championship. All that making it to the finals, you're supposed to make it to the finals. You're supposed to make the finals, but you're also supposed to win. I want to see some people win. Look, I wish them well. I hope they win, but if they don't get a championship this year, it's a bust.
Meantime, while that was going on with Brooklyn and Cleveland, Philadelphia was winning, and they were beating Boston, and they were doing it behind Joel Embiid's 42. And Shaq, you've gotten on Embiid to stay more consistent. I say Embiid is the MVP so far this year.
No, he's not.
And guess what? If you say Embiid is the MVP, that's the talk we want to hear from our big man. Notice I say our big man because I'm the president of the Big Man Alliance. When there's another dominant big man that does what I've done, I will move out of the way. But other than that, I'm not leaving this chair. So, I've always said 28-10 is the formula for big guys to be dominant. Of course, when you go to the playoffs, you got to add to your PPG and your RPG. But, hey, I'll take 42-10 anytime. So, Mr. Embiid, keep it up.
Keep it up all he wants to. Kevin Durant is the MVP right now, Shaquille O'Neal. The brother's averaging 30 on 54% shooting, better than 40% from three-point range. And, oh, by the way, 18-month hiatus because of an Achilles heel. He's the MVP right now.
And I saw what you said yesterday, and I agree with everything you said yesterday. The man had 18 months off, and he came back like he hasn't missed a beat. Yes, Kevin Durant, is also my MVP. I have to go with Stephen A. on this one, Max.
Shaq, we're acting like there's no defensive side of the ball. Not that KD can't play defense, but if you've seen Embiid
this
year.
Defense is overrated, Max. Defense is overrated. Stop it.
Shaq, Embiid is the closest thing the league has right now to you. And because the league is not as big man oriented anymore, everyone thinks it's a disadvantage. He's abusing these little dudes.
Say it again. He's the closest thing to what?
To you in the league right now, as far as the big man game.
Static. I can't hear you, Max. It's a lot of static. It's a lot of static in my microphone. I cannot hear you.
Shaq, but for real, you had Penny, and Penny was great, but Penny wasn't a guard version of Shaq. Kobe was. Dwayne Wade was like Shaq great as a guard, and that's what it takes for a big to win championships. He needs another dude as good as him. Can Simmons be that guy for Embiid, do you think?
I think Simmons can be that guy. I think, Ben just needs to focus on his game. A lot of people shoot the three, do this and do that, but I think he's averaging 18, 19 points, just doing his way. Definition of a great player is making the ones around you better. So I think he just needs to stay aggressive, get to the hole. Once the defense collapses, just kick it out to you guys, and, hopefully, the others can, step up. But every now and then he's going to have to, pull out that mid-range shot and occasionally hit a three. So I think if he can do that, they should.